Welcome back, everybody, for our fourth and final installment of another ULS team breakdown. We are on day 4, and today we are going over the team Dino Nuggies. Making up the team of the Dino Nuggies, we will have Yokimoto in the top lane, Mocha Mexican in the jungle, Vin Arvel in the mid lane, Space Jabberwocky at the ADC position, and UBU at the support position. Their substitute right now will be Johnny Flesh, who is a marksman player, as I've been led to believe, but can be used to fill multiple other positions. Starting in the top lane with Yokimoto. Yokimoto's actually an ADC main primarily, but has been branching out and trying new and different things. So this won't be his first excursion into the top lane, but this definitely isn't his most comfortable role. I definitely don't think that he'll be a problem for this team, but we might see there might definitely be some matchup issues. But going over the other three teams that we've gone over, I believe that we only have two true top laners in the league, and one of them we had already defined as Coin Flippy. So I feel like Yokimoto might actually slate into a group here to where everything's variable. I don't know who I would actually put at the top of this top lane bracket. Maybe we'll do some power rankings after week 1, just where we see people placed. Maybe we'll release something earlier tomorrow before the games actually start, just to see how we land up in power rankings across the league. And then we'll compare at the beginning, and then we'll do our end of the season power rankings and how close or how off the mark we were. In the jungle, we have Mocha Mexican. Mocha Mexican played in a previous best of series where we had a round robin system and the top teams would advance. Mocha Mexican was actually a part of the 3-man group that split 2-1. In this tournament, the boys actually went winless, but them being able to find a win in our most previous event this certifies my thinking in that this team will be here to compete. But enough of that. Going back to Mocha Mexican, I think that Mocha Mexican was an absolute stud. He was able to take down people like the Double Umacorns and Uncle and the Neffs, and in these games, he looked pretty amazing. You could contribute that a lot to the solo laners that they don't have this time that they had in that tournament, but regardless of how good your solo laners are, you still need to be a good jungler to understand the ins and outs, when you should be ganking, when you should be making these moves. And I think if Mocha Mexican is able to replicate that performance that they showed in the previous round robin that we had done, I think that Mocha Mexican is set to compete in this league with, honestly, really competitive junglers. I think that almost every jungler that we brought up on teams have been our MVP watches. Going on to the mid lane, we have Vin Arvel. Vin Arvel is the shout out my homie Vinny. You know, we got to take a second to show some love. My boy who made my emotes, who really is, when I was starting out, was like a really, really big push factor for me to keep streaming, and has just been someone in my corner for like a lot of the ideas. But enough gushing about him as a person. It's time to rate him and give you my honest opinions on him as a player. So Vin Arvel is definitely a wild card, which is what you want in the mid lane. He's someone who has quite the champion pool and is really comfortable on a lot of these different picks. And with how the meta is shaping out right now, especially as we're seeing for the 2021 MSI tournament, there's a lot of things that can be played mid and not just control mages. Of course, not all of those things work. RIP Kindred mid. I'm sure Perks will make it look amazing one day, but right now, not the move. Going into this, I feel like this is definitely the type of person that you want in the mid lane. Someone that has a lot of variability in their champion pool, and someone who he has played jungle, so he understands how the rest of the map is going and like when he should be ganking, but also with the jungle experience, I think this is going to be something that he'll be able to use to his benefit in roaming and moving between lanes as the midpoint. That's who you want to have going around and affecting the map. And I feel like Vinny will be able to do just that. And just like our jungle pool, our mid pool is quite stacked. And I'll be interested to see how Vinny fares over the course of the season. Going to the marksman position, we have Space Jabberwocky, Twitch handle at Jedi Saiyan King. Space Jabberwocky is an absolute grinder. I look at everyone on this list, and he has more ranked games by far on anyone on his team. He has more games played. He's definitely put all of the time in, and this is a guy who, when he has that team behind him and they're in a 5-man roster, he looked really good. Again, going back to our previous round robin, Space Jabberwocky was a large part of the reason why that team was winning. He was able to do something that I've repeated for a lot of our top marksman players, and that is to CS well, to be in a position to where he's not going to be able to get picked off, and he'll be able to maximize his damage output, and he doesn't die much. He's a really well-rounded player, and much like the other ADCs in this group, his champion pool of marksmen, yes, there's only 18, 19 marksmen. We could meme about it all day. But being able to jump back and forth between whichever marksman's relevant in that state of the game, or who's got the stronger power, who's just better situationally, even. I think that being able to pull out these different marksmen, as yes, they all auto attack, but they all do that differently, and that affects how they're positioning, that affects how you want to team fight, because not a lot of marksmen can just follow an all-in comp or are able to just do a front to back. I think that having a marksman who varies in this and who is skilled, and having, honestly guys, this many games in the marksman role is huge. That's just a lot of game experience, and that means that when you're going into this tournament, there's not going to be a lot of scenarios that he hasn't seen before. And I get it. We've all been playing League for quite some time in this tournament. As far as my knowledge goes, of course, there are some people that I can't speak for. But I think that understanding situations and not having things be new and have things be like, I'm just now seeing this for the first time, gives you a better chance to react and respond to that. And so because of that, I think Space Jabberwocky is going to be a really, really good player for this team. Rounding out in the bot lane, we have UBU. UBU at the support position. I actually have not seen this player play too much personally, so I kind of just did the deep dive on the op.gg, and we won't get into any of the champion pool stuff. That's up to our teams to do their scouting on, and for them to make the decision on how they want to ban them out and how they want to approach it. But from what I've seen, just somebody who likes to be in the ADC's pocket. Now, my real concern for this is that I feel like a lot of the other supports that I've hit on in these breakdowns are supports that don't mind roaming. They actually would prefer to move with the mid lane with the jungler and make these numbers advantages in the side lanes or in the mid lane or even invading into the jungle. So I think UBU is going to be another one of these players where from the start of the season, we might see something of a more solo queue mindset, and then see that turn into the, hey, we're in a 5-man, hey, this is a league, and hey, if these guys are doing their homework and I'm just sitting bot, we're going to be really easy to figure out, because the worst that can come out of a jungle gank is like, oh, mid's moving with him. Whereas I feel like a lot of these teams, you're going to have that mid jungle synergy with a support. And just being able to create that numbers advantage and being able to create that chaos on the other team, it's worth it to keep your ADC alive, but I think that it's just as worth it for you to go around and enable your solo lanes, get these roam timers off, and cause some chaos in the game. Don't make the game easy for your enemy team to play against. Now, Jedi Saiyan King will actually be out for tomorrow, Saturday being our first day of the ULS. Does have some prior engagements to deal with, no problem at all. This is a month-long event. We understand that not everyone's going to be able to be there. That's why we encourage multiple substitutes. And the substitute they have that will be playing in the marksman role is Johnny Flesh. Johnny Flesh, another good marksman player, another person that I have not seen play a lot, actually. So a lot, if at all. I have not seen him play in any of these ULS events, any show matches or anything like that. And just going on his op.gg, it's apparent to me that marksman's not his first role. So I almost wonder that if after some team discussion we might see some switching around between potentially him and Yokimoto. If he's someone who could play these solo lane champs, it makes more sense to me for you to sub him into the top lane and use Yokimoto in the role that he's more comfortable in the marksman position. And again, we're not bashing on Yokimoto, saying that Yokimoto can't play the top lane matchups or things like that. But just in that for these games, especially while we're gonna have people like Frost missing this week one, we're gonna have AJD missing. This is the week where you want to make a statement and get your wins, because I think that this will be the easiest weekend for a while, because barring this, people will be here. There won't be subs in and teams will be at full power. And looking at teams like Uncle and the Nefs, even, where it's like you have these subs, but these subs are like, you're not putting them in and like, oh, the team's gonna change. The only thing that's changing is that they could potentially, these subs are gonna come in and potentially run over the games, and a play style might shift in that we would just rather play around these folks. So obviously I can't speak too much on Johnny Flesh because I don't know how Johnny Flesh plays. And because of this, he might be one of these subs who comes in, hits his ADC role, and is absolutely cracked. So I won't sit here and try to act like I know what's going on and, oh, I think this is when you need to make your move and whatnot. But enough of that. That wraps up our 4 teams breakdowns for ULS Season 1 starting tomorrow at 12 p.m. Pacific time. That will be following right after the MSI event 2021. Hashtag C9win, had to throw in that plug there. But I am so excited, guys, to get this started. And I know this has been a longer video. Maybe I was rambling a bit too much here. Definitely showing some love to some of these players. But there's people on every team that I'm very much connected to, and I want to see everyone do well. But at the end of the day, this is a competitive league. This is all set up because I want to put an environment to where people are going to be able to come out and compete. Doesn't matter what your rank is. Make this event to where it feels like you're in something like the LCS. So thank you guys so much. Oh, excuse me, MVP watch for this team. The MVP watch for this team, I think I will put Space Jabberwocky from this team on MVP watch. And anybody that I haven't named in these doesn't mean that they can't win MVP. These are just my personal opinions. Of course, the stats in the games will speak for themselves, and at the end of the season, we will then make our own decisions through myself, the casters, as well as a Twitter poll for MVP. And obviously, our answer will have more weight than the Twitter poll, because it's really easy for somebody to just be like, hey, go vote for me and make sure I win. And we don't want it skewed, but we would definitely love to see the public opinion on it. But thank you guys so much. I'm looking forward to kicking off tomorrow in our first day of the ULS. It is going to be an absolute banger, hopefully followed up by a banger of MSI games, and we can't wait to see you there. Thank you guys for your time, and we will see you tomorrow at 12 p.m. Pacific time for our first game of the ULS Season 1.